Hello everyone. Someone has asked me to make a regular bread video so that everybody could see how I make my bread, and it's actually really easy and it goes very quickly. So the first thing we're going to do is we will fix up the yeast in this little bowl here. So to 2 cups of warm water, we'll add 4 tablespoons of yeast and just a little sprinkling of sugar. And we'll mix it up. And the sugar is going to help activate it so it'll get to going real quick like. All right, and then over here in this bowl, we are going to add the 3/4 cup of sugar. I used a little bit of it with my yeast. And we're going to add 3/4 cup of oil. This is just canola oil here. And we're also going to add 4 teaspoons of salt. And then we'll give this a good mix. And as you can see over here, the yeast is starting to bubble nicely. Okay, so as you can see, the yeast, it's been sitting for about 10 minutes and it's gotten considerably larger. And the water with the sugar, oil, and salt has cooled down. So I'm going to add the yeast mixture to the bowl. And give that just a little stir. And now I'm going to start adding flour to it. And I don't really measure the flour, so it's just enough flour until it's maybe a little bit sticky. And then I'll knead it for probably a good 10-15 minutes after that. Okay, so we'll just keep on adding flour to this. This batch of dough is a large batch, and so out of this you'll be able to make, you can make a whole lot of fry bread or rolls or pierogies, or it'll make 6 regular size loaves of bread, and you can use it for whatever you want to. You can make cinnamon rolls, or whatever you can come up with. It's kind of hard to video this and knead the bread one-handed. So I'm holding my phone and trying to knead at the same time. But basically, it's pull it over, push it in, pull it over, push it in. Some people call it folding, but I push it in, so whatever makes you happy. And I'm still adding flour. So it's basically, I think, 12 to 15 cups. Okay, so I'm done kneading the bread, and I put some oil on it and turned it over so that it's covered on both sides, and it is ready to be covered with a towel, and I'll let it rise for an hour. Or sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but usually an hour. And the other thing too is that if you wanted to make raisin bread, then right at the beginning, Okay, you got your yeast and water going. And then in your big bowl, you'll have the water with the sugar, the oil, the salt. That's when you add the raisins, is right there. So that gives the raisins time to soften up while they're in the really warm water. So, you know, if you wanted to make raisin bread, it's just as easy. And also, if you wanted to make this recipe smaller, you could too. So remember, we started off with 2 cups of warm water in the bowl with 4 tablespoons of yeast. And then in this big bowl, it was 3/4 cup of oil, 3/4 cup of sugar, 4 tablespoons of salt, and 6 cups of warm water. And if you added raisins to a batch this size, I would add a 1-pound package of raisins. And then, of course, if you're making a smaller batch, then you might want to use less raisins. And then roughly 12 to 15 cups of flour. Okay, so we'll let it rise now. All right, all the bread is in the pans now. So we have 4 loaves and 2 pans of rolls. So I'm going to cover them up and let them rise for about a half hour, and then I'll pop them into the oven at 400 degrees until they're a nice medium brown. So I'm going to put the rolls in the oven, and these 2 loaves here, because they're almost to the top of their pan, which is kind of where I like them to be. And these ones still have room to rise, so I'm going to let them wait, and they'll rise a little bit more. Okay, the 2 rolls of pans are out and the 2 loaves of bread. So these smell very nice, and see how nice and golden brown they are, just kind of almost a dark brown. Okay, the other 2 went into the oven, 400 degrees.